Hey everyone, it's Edie, your video and YouTube strategist, and today I'm going to come in with a video content creation software program that I have been using for probably, I'd say probably about 5 years, but they've updated and improved it, and I want to share with you some of the tricks that I use in order to create my videos. And in today's video, we're going to talk about Logicapture. Now, Logicapture is the software platform that you can use in conjunction with your Logitech camera. Now, a few years back, I bought the C920 when I decided to venture into doing live streaming, and I didn't care for the built-in camera that came with my computer at the time. So I went out and I purchased this HD camera. It came with its own software. So what does that mean? It enabled me, without having to live stream, without having to go through Facebook Live or Periscope, which is what we were doing back then, I could record myself using my HD webcam. So that became one of the cameras that I would use to do my video content creation, along with my iPhone. And the reason why I wanted to use my webcam was I'm a proponent of using platforms, tools, and equipment that my ideal audience would be able to have access to. So I could bring out the DSLRs and the bigger cameras to shoot my videos, but that just didn't make sense for me because I wanted to basically be able to use the same kind of equipment that my audience was using. So with this Logitech camera and its original iteration of the software that came out, I was able to just do your run-of-the-mill, shoot yourself, pretty much the way that it's set up right now. The camera's in front of me, I have my lights behind the camera, and I'm able to talk to the camera and film my videos. What they've now done in the new and improved Logicapture is that they are giving you way more cool things that you can do now, and you don't even technically need to have an editor unless you make a lot of mistakes and you need to edit out those mistakes. Other than that, you actually have the capability of having almost like a mini studio in Logicapture. So before I get too carried away, I'm going to now show you. Now, because I'm using Logicapture in order to record this video, I'm actually going to shoot the B-roll, if you will, using another platform and software that I'm always using, which is Camtasia. So I'm going to use Camtasia in this instance to actually record the screen that I'm using to record myself so that I can show you what the back end or the inside of Logicapture looks like. So let's go. All right, so you can still see me on camera because I am actually recording this on Camtasia, but what I wanted to do is to just walk you through these elements here on the left so that you can see all of the cool things that Logicapture can do. So now you have the ability of having two sources, and actually that gives you even more than two sources. You can actually have up to 3, if not more, sources as information or tools or platforms that you can use. I shouldn't call them platforms. They are sources. So source number 1 obviously is the webcam that I'm using. You can see that it's the HD Pro webcam C920, like I told you. And the cool thing about this is if I wanted to add a second camera, I could. So I have 2 monitors right now. I'm looking at one of them and the other monitor is to my right. So if I wanted to get a different angle, I could have a second HD camera put on top of this monitor, or these HD cameras have a screw at the, not a screw, I don't know what it's called. It's the ability to screw something into it on the bottom, and I actually have a tripod that I could easily screw an external separate second Logitech camera on, and I could position it anywhere. Maybe perhaps I would want it here so that you could see from this angle how my desk looked or how my office looked. So you have that ability of having 2 cameras, and I'm going to show you why that's going to be such a cool thing. Now, besides the second source, as you can see here, the second source is actually displaying my second monitor. So you can see I shouldn't have all of these documents here. You're supposed to have a clean clear desktop whenever you're doing this. But you can see right here, I have my Camtasia recording everything that I'm doing right now. So I can choose to show the desktop as is, or I can choose to open up any number of different software programs or websites, and I could choose to use those as another display as well. Now, the reason why having this available as well as a second camera is going to be of interest to us is because, let me switch back to myself, is because we're able to switch. As you saw, I was able to switch just going up here on the dashboard. But the other place that you can switch, and the main place that you would be switching, is down here where you can see all of these different thumbnails. It says 1, that basically means display 1. 2 is display 2. This one, as you can see, 1 is in the corner where I am, and then 2 is behind it. Or we can switch that around, and you can have 2 in the smaller and me display 1 as a larger. Or we can do it a side by side. Either way, whether I'm bigger or the display is smaller, whichever way that you choose. So that's a really cool way for you as you are doing your video to switch from me to the second monitor to a camera, whatever it is that you want to show. You have the ability to live switch, if you will, as you're recording. So this eliminates the need for you to then take this content into post-production, into your editing platform, and have to edit in B-roll or additional imagery or footage. So that's a really cool thing. Now, underneath here, after you see where your source is, you can see that there's a preset, and when you drop down that, it gives you the option to stream, and I'm not going to change anything here because I'm currently recording. Streaming, recording, and custom. And basically what the new Logitech cameras allow you to do is to be able, they're such great quality that they're not only a tool that you can use to record your videos as standalone videos, but also they're very good quality for you to use to do live streaming. So if you're really heavily into live streaming, this is totally going to be up your alley because this platform also integrates with third-party applications like my favorite OBS and also XSplit, as well as Restream, and I think there's a few others. But this video is not about live streaming, but I just wanted to let you know that that capability does exist if you're using your Logitech cameras or your webcams for that matter for live streaming. So here in the preset, you would just decide whether you're recording or whether you're going to be streaming. Then you have the option of switching from, do you want to set up your camera to record based on frame rate or frames per, or the rate of the frames per second, or do you want to do it based on exposure? Are you going to be moving around a lot and you want to keep the exposure pretty stable? Based on the way that I have the lighting, I'm guessing I probably could have it either way. But I selected exposure because today actually is one of the rare days that I have all of my cameras out. I don't normally have them out, and I'm actually going to include a shot of what my studio looks like today. But I've decided to pull out both my soft boxes and a ring light just so that I can have much more light because it's a little bit of an overcast day and I'm doing this later in the day, so it's not as bright outside. The other thing that you can do is you can zoom and you can pan from left to right or up and down. So I can zoom in if I wanted with this, or I can toggle down, or I can toggle up if I needed some extra headroom. If I wanted to get rid of that little desk behind me over here, I could try to do it as much as possible, and there's a little bit better. And then you can have your autofocus set, or if you want, you can do it for a manual. I tend to move around a lot, so I like to have my autofocus set. And then you can have your auto white balance set for you as well. You can then do your image settings, which is all about brightness, about sharpness. You want it to be a little soft. Do you want the contrast and saturation to be more? I upped the saturation just a little bit so that you can see the difference in or the color of my skin. But if you need to, you can just leave this on auto and see where it settles. The anti-flicker, the only understanding I've ever had about anti-flicker, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know really exactly what that is, but I know that it has to do with the screen. And the only time I really concern myself with flickering is if I'm going to be filming a video, like looking at my monitor, and if there's something on there, they tend to flicker. So I'm presuming that this matches whatever the rate of flickering is. And that way it doesn't make it look as if it's flickering. That was my best understanding of it. I could be totally wrong, but I'm not going to front and act like I know what anti-flickering is. I've just sort of dabbled back and forth. I've had it when I first started at 50 hertz, and it seemed to have some issues, so I put it to 60 and I've not had any issues. So whatever was wrong, it seems like I fixed it, so I ain't going to worry about it no more. If you want to have a chroma key, you can activate that, and that's basically just by putting a green or a blue screen behind yourself. I actually do have that capability. I have a green screen that I have never used because I'm not a fan of chroma key. I think it's fun if you're doing like, you know, Microsoft Teams and you just want to change the background or blur it or do whatever, but I'm not a proponent of it for my videos. If you want to use them for yours, go have fun. That's just not my thing. And then here, and again, I'm not going to do it because I don't know what's going to happen if I'm recording, but you can flip this either this way or you can flip it upside down. I don't know why anybody, I guess just to goof off, if you wanted to flip yourself upside down, you can certainly do that. But I have zero interest in doing that. And so for the second display, again, they have the ability, once you've selected what your second display is going to be, or second source, I should say, is going to be, you can flip the source horizontally or vertically. And then from there, you can go into, this is the nitty-gritty when it comes to like text overlays and effects and things of that nature. There's filters, there's all these really cool things. So if you wanted to put up a text overlay, and I'm going to jump back to my face so that you can see what I'm doing here. But if you wanted to have a lower third, you can put up a lower third. You can literally type whatever it is that you need to type in there. There are different fonts. They don't have a plethora of fonts. They literally give you 8 choices of different fonts that you might want to use, and you can just choose whichever one you like best. You're able to increase the font size, as well as you can change the color, and you can put in your hex code if you need to use a custom color to your branding. Then you can do text alignment, whether you can have it left aligned, centered, or right aligned. So let's make this centered. And then you can change your background. Right now I have it at white. You can change it to a gray if you wanted. You could change it to a black, or you can have it just as a transparent, so the text is just on your screen. This area you cannot put in custom colors, but I think it's fine the way that it looks right now, and I'm going to hide that actually for the moment. Then the next thing that you can do is you can add in any kind of filters. So right now there's no filters on the screen, but you can play around. I'm not really sure why some of these would be used. I would definitely, and I have used the black and white or the grayscale in the past. Never used this, and I don't know if I ever will. Nor this one. I guess if you want to do something spooky for Halloween, you can certainly use that. This one's a little freaky too because this is a fisheye, so sorry about that to shock you. And then this one, you can have a blue hue, or you can have sort of a warm rose kind of a hue. And you can apply these sources, these filters, to either your A source or your number 1 source, meaning the primary camera, or the second monitor or your second source. Then you can have a border going around the screen if you want. So it's selected for purple, and let's just up the pixels so that you can see. And so you can do that if you want. I don't know, and you can make it a little bit thinner. I'm not sure. I've used it in the past. I don't think it's something that I really would probably use again in the future, but you never know. For whatever reason, you may want to include that, but at the moment, I'm not going to. Then the other cool thing that they have is down here under transitions. You can switch from, remember I have 2 sources right now. And if I wanted it to have a transition, I could select on any one of these. So if I'm doing this one, you can see what it's going to do. It's going to push. So you see that it pushed. And there I am again. Same thing, opposite direction. And then if you wanted to do it from up and down. And then this one fades like a grayish kind of color, and this one fades white before you transition to the next source. So like I said, this is a great opportunity if you are good at being able to articulate what you need to in your videos, you have your post-its, or you just know your stuff cold, you'll be able to switch from one thing to another. You can always, so let's say for example, you have multiple things that you would want to show, but you want it to be a smoother transition, you can always pause the video and then start it back up again once you get all of the windows or different software programs open. Now, one more thing that I'm going to share with you, this isn't going to open up for me because I'm actually recording, but the phenomenal thing about Logicapture is that right now I'm in a landscape full HD mode. I can change this to 720 if I wanted for whatever reason, but the coolest thing, which I can't show you now, and what I might do is come back with the B-roll so that I can show it to you, is that under resolution up here, you can see it says full HD. You can choose to create a video custom right off the bat, specifically for your Instagram stories or your IGTV or your Facebook stories, or for Instagram or even Facebook in the square or vertical format. So if you change the resolution to, it would have to be, obviously, if I'm doing a vertical, it's going to be the opposite of what it is right now. So right now it's 1920 by 1080. So instead it would be 1080 by 1920. So it would be very narrow, and you could then position yourself properly so you know exactly what it's going to look like when you do your Instagram story or your IGTV. Same with Instagram feed, or for Facebook, if you want to do the perfect square, it would be 1080 by 1080, so it would be a square. And you can do the resolution as high as you want. 1080 obviously is the highest for this particular camera. Logitech cameras go as high as 4K. And then you could just choose whatever resolution it is that you want to use for this. And so you can do your video straight from Logitech or Logicapture as your Instagram or as your IGTV video. So I hope that you guys found this helpful and interesting. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on it. But if you don't like it, I want to hear why, because I can't figure out anything that's wrong with this platform so far anyway. I am here to bring to you as often as I can any app, software, platform, any sort of video content creation apparatus that will enable you to do videos without having to break the bank. I want you to be able to use the tools, apps, phones, equipment that you already have in order to create content for your business. And I want to talk about those items whenever I get a chance. So whenever I find anything new that I've been using and I've found it easy to use and I think that it's a really phenomenal tool, I will definitely be bringing it to you. So until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.